Hello and welcome to another Thursday Live. I am Dr. Jerry Dreessen, the Executive Director here at the Association of PEMF Professionals, aka the AOPP. And we have a pretty good lineup here for the next couple of Thursday Lives. And what we did was take a look and see what is trending. In fact, we went to the artificial intelligence side of the world as far as what's trending in AI, and we were able to find out a few things, which is pretty interesting. Number one, as far as what this was all about, and the return that we got on that was that pulsed electromagnetic field therapy is seeing a surge in interest, with recent developments highlighting its potential across various medical applications. And here are the key trends based on current web data. So the first thing is, well, okay, is it trending? Well, if you take a look all the way back to 2020, so this is in the last 4.5 years, you can see that there has been a huge jump in interest over time. So you are in the right place at the right time. If you are working in the PEMF field or thinking about it, or if you are a manufacturer of it, it's only going to get better because more and more people are using it. We're getting, all kinds of results. There are, double-blind studies being done now. There are, all kinds of great research being done where we didn't have that before, which was why we couldn't just jump out there and say, hey, PEMF helps with bladder incontinence. It helps with PTSD. Well, how do you know? Well, my aunt got better, or my brother-in-law's, brain's functioning better. So that's like the one-time instances. Well, now with all the research that's out there, there's enough credibility proving that PEMF works that are, just outside our own individual. Although those of you that use PEMF and you're seeing amazing individual results, how well it works. You just can't go on TV and say that it works because your brother-in-law's brain works better, right? You have to have all this other thing that's going on. So the point of this slide is just showing more and more people are going from what is PEMF to, hey, where can I get some PEMF, right? So that's how this is trending. The other thing, just looking at the United States, which is the information that I could get, just kind of shows the area in the last, this was the last 5 years also. So you can see kind of the states that are darker where there's more interest. And it's probably more than what Florida used to be. So Florida, I think, was like the #1 area just because of all the racing and where people would, barn their animals over the winter. But you can see also out in the wide open fields of Montana and the Dakotas. But it is definitely being used more on livestock to create healthier livestock, work animals. Lots of great things happening out there. And then, of course, just on the human side too. So, which is where it is moving from and to on those things. So we've taken this series and broken it up into, it's probably gonna be 3 or 4 different parts. So this is part 1. And as far as the, how PEMF is being used, the overall, as far as the growing market and adoption. So the global PEMF therapy devices market was valued at $523 million in 2023 and is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 6% from 2024, driven by increased use in pain management, bone healing, and wellness. High-frequency PEMF devices, which are above the 100 millihertz or megahertz, are gaining traction due to their ability to penetrate deep tissues. So if you have those devices or you're making those devices, there are more and more interest in those for people to use for private use, but also to grow businesses and to create wellness centers using PEMF devices. The next one, and let me jump into the next slide here. We go. That way you can see it a little bit better. So pain and mobility improvements. Studies show PEMF therapy significantly reduces pain and enhances mobility. That's for all animals, anything that's got a blood flow. I would say increases the mobility for plants. I mean, they grow better, they grow stronger, healthier. So, anything that uses sunlight or sun frequency is going to be enhanced by this. Weekly PEMF exposure has improved outcomes in tests like timed up and go and forearm normal gait speed with sustained benefits in physical and mental health. It also is effective for post-surgical pain, edema, and chronic wounds. So we asked AI to, come up with what they're seeing trending, and this is its response. So it did a deep dive that's out there. And what it does is it goes out onto the internet and finds all of the information that's out there. So this is according to what's being placed out on the internet for it to grab. So I always thought that, well, if we wanted to change what AI says about things, we need to go out and change the websites and the information and add more towards what we're leaning to. So those are kind of cool. And shout out to Patrick. Hey, Patrick, welcome. Thanks for hopping on this morning. And then, of course, we know being effective for post-surgical pain, edema, and chronic wounds. Anybody that's ever worked on a human or animal that's been injured knows that that works. In fact, yesterday at my clinic, I had a patient who injured their back. They came in a back brace, just excruciating acute pain, hunched over, walking and saying, this is terrible. I've, been on ice. I've been taking, chewing on bottles of ibuprofen. And I said, well, let's, hop you over here to this PEMF device. What's that? And so, explaining what it is, I got my little 30-second elevator pitch. And then when they sit down in the area that I have, I've got pictures of people using it. I've got animals using it. So it kind of calms them down where they can see, oh, there's people doing, oh my God, there's this bear, this grizzly bear with it on their shoulders. So, it helps alleviate their initial fears about this system, but then I walk them through it. Short story, or long story short, after 10 minutes, they stood up, they felt a significant reduction in pain. And that's when they go, when can I use this again? Can I do another 10 minutes? And that's always been the great thing about PEMF is it literally sells itself for the people that are having problems. We just got to get more people out there learning about it and telling other people about it, which is happening. And that's why it's trending. So the next slide here is these trends reflect a broadening scope for PEMF from traditional uses in pain and bone health to cutting edge applications in oncology and neurology. We all know that PEMF has been thwarting cancer in the research studies as far as getting in there and creating nitric oxide, going in and, which overwhelms the cancer, getting through the cluster of cancer cells or of human cells, or not human cells, normal cells, being able to penetrate that and getting into the bad cells and having the body do what it's supposed to do, which we call innate intelligence. I mean, you don't have to think about your heart beating. You don't have to think about your skin growing. You don't have to think about your liver working. That all happens with this natural intelligence that we have. Well, our body is designed to go out there and kill all of the bad guys. PEMF helps speed that up or gives the body a faster, more power to getting those things done. So it's a innate enhancer, I guess would be the best thing to say what it is. PEMF itself doesn't do the healing. PEMF empowers our body's innate cellular structure to do what's designed to do better. And for some people, it's been dulled because of the foods that we eat, the water that we drink, the sleep that we get, as we talk about grounding, people are walking around in, rubber tennis shoes, or they're in a ground on a, wood structure, or, carpet or concrete. They're, inside a metal building that is like a giant Faraday cage. So it prevents a lot of this natural electromagnetic frequency from the sun getting to them. This is a way of bringing it in and putting it on people, and having them experience the amazing things with PEMF. It goes on to say, however, while promising, some applications like cancer and depression are still in early research stages and require further validation, which I agree. There's been some amazing things going on, but in order for us to be able to stand up and do a report on it, or a TED Talk on, here's what it does, there has to be, in the scientific world, very strict rules of validation that have to happen. And once that happens, then we can shout it from the rooftop. But until that happens, we can't say anything other than, well, here's what we're seeing, versus I know this works. So, and again, we talk about that too in our education, as far as how to present PEMF in your device and how to, tell other people about it. So again, which is really interesting, AI jumping in saying, always consult healthcare professional before pursuing PEMF therapy. So that was its scraping that it found, because that's probably what's on everybody's website, or even the manufacturers of PEMF. It's like, this is great, but if you're going to do it, consult a healthcare professional. So if you've got somebody that wants to use this, hey, have them give me a call. I'm a healthcare professional. I'll be more happy to talk to them about using PEMF. So it's going to be short and sweet, because we've got, and this is broken up into a few parts to make it relatively quick here. We're already into 12 minutes. So that is our trending. Again, you can go to Google Trends and you can say what's trending in, PEMF, and it'll pull up a whole bunch of resources, but we've consolidated that into this talk and the ones that are coming up here. So if you want to know more about us, those of you that are just joining us for the first time, or if you've been coming and seeing some of these lives or seeing our videos, hey, you can, jump in, and there's a lot more going on in our Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. You can, get more information there. Those of you that are members, again, thank you very much for your membership, and like and share these videos, share them with your friends. Just hit the like, subscribe, all of those things. As I always say, they help build our algorithms. Members only, I'll be jumping on afterwards. Those of you that are requesting to get in, I'll get that done here today, so we can continue with our conversations on that side of it. Those of you who are wondering who we are, what we're about, on our website, we've got the Code of Ethics, so you can always read up on that. And if you are interested in knowing more about PEMF and what it's all about, and what the AOPP is, which is an international organization designed to teach and certify people on using PEMF best practices for humans and animals, and anything that we can do to help you with PEMF, some of the cutting edge technology and things like that. Hey, Robin, thanks. You're welcome. And again, if you have questions about this, if you have some tips, best practices, things that you're finding out if you're using PEMF, shoot them our way, because the more information we can get from people actually out there using PEMF, the better we all become. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for jumping on today. And I look forward to seeing you next week with our next part 2 on our what's trending. So with that, take care and have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.